This is neither the time nor the place.
Monkey King has built his throne on your back. A throne of gold and gem, polished with blood and tear. Throw off the Monkey King and his shining privy before your back is broken.
Life in his right hand, death in his left. And then there are those who fell through God's fingers.
On the night of 1,000 ribbons, our finest city burned. It burned with fires lit by cruelty and neglect. It burned with shame for giving the title of emperor to a man who did not deserve it.
dead man and a living machine. There's your truth, heretic. You, your god, both obsolete. Enough of this. That's
This is neither the time nor the place.
Poor Tolman. I made this bracelet for him when he first arrived here. Idiot said he'd never take it off. I called him a liar. He didn't, though. Not once. I need to give you something. I asked a lot of you out there in the slums, more than I should have. You tried, and that's all we exiles can ever hope to do. Those keys unlock the gates to the sewers. Tolman found them. Figure that in the worst of times, people will hide their wealth in the worst of places. We were never game to test his theory, not with the Undying down there. But you're strong, stronger than any of us here. I don't think you need to fear the dark. Watch yourself. Need some help? Sorry, I need some more time to think. We'll talk soon, I promise. Watch yourself. Yes?
I no longer dream when I sleep. I have a nightmare. The same nightmare over and over. The mirror. It's never my reflection looking back. The first time that mirror appeared to me, it was Cole I saw. A rapist from Oriath I had the displeasure of sharing a pen with in Gravisius' stockade. Piety took him for her experiments, and that night I saw her handiwork while I slept. This time it was Tolman, flesh dried to leather, organs shrunk to husks, blood trickling through his skeleton like red dust in an hourglass. It's Piety's gift to me, that mirror. At least I won't be seeing Clarissa the next time I look into it. Make sure it's not you I see either. I walked halfway across this forsaken continent because of an ode. Of jewels and eternity, it's called. For twinkled promises of jewels and eternity, the Gemling Queen gave her heart and body to the King of Shades for one more day in the sun, the last day in the sun. That's but a portion of the full epic. The Gemling Queen lived, and she's the enigma behind the fall of the Ezomites and the Eternals both. Look to the Solaris Temple to the northeast. Find the Gemling Queen's remains before Piety does, and destroy them. Now you must leave me.
Tolman's dead then. Another victim of Piety's cruelty. Perhaps he escaped lightly. Look upon Grigor to see what life entails under Piety's influence. Let me offer you something. In recognition of all that you have done for us, we shall mourn Tolman's death as we shall treasure Clarissa's life. General Gravisius demands absolute obedience from his blackguards, meaning he's surrounded himself with cowards and lackwits, unable to lift a finger without orders. If you're able, traverse the river and murder Gravisius in his own barracks. He'll be ripping the very mind from the skulls of our enemies. Clarissa will weep for Tolman. She must. The cloud is darkest before the rain. Grigor straddles two worlds. One foot planted on this soil, one in the dirt of spirit and shadow. When you speak with him, be sure to know from which world his words arise. It's an often told story among the Karui, how Vol of Thebris bent his knee to my ancestor, King Kalm, and promised freedom in return for war. While Vol raised his purity rebellion in the heart of the Empire, Kalm took Lord Lion Eye's head and the southern coast all the way to Siren's Cove. It was the greatest conquest the Karui have ever seen. If I knew how to cross the river safely, I'd be wearing Gravisius' head on my belt. Talakota.
I'll miss a boy. He was always up for a laugh, whether it was at his expense or not. But I would have missed that Clarissa more. Argan's the name, by the way, and it's my honour to welcome you to Dirty Old Sun, the metropolis of opportunity. The opportunity to make something of yourself, or the opportunity to have a very messy death.
Victaria was a poet what ended up leading a rebellion, right under the nose of Emperor Chittis. But here's what really interests me. Our wordsmith was quite a talented larcenist as well. Pulled off the heist of the century, in the name of the people, of course. 3 finely crafted platinum busts, commissioned by Chittis for his favourite trio of generals. Victario and his coppers hold up in the sewers. Now that you have Clarissa's keys, perhaps you'd be inclined to search out those heroic busts for me. I'm sure I can make it well worth your while.
I was Clarissa's guardian angel back in Oriath. Put food on the table in return for a bit of light work. I try to keep her out of trouble as best I can here, but Sarn's full of secrets, and Clarissa's full of curiosity. She's just so ample, is our Marimore. In my mind, you'll find no saucier specimen of womanhood. It's her tattoos and that fancy talk she does. Intoxicating. She's a cool one, though. I can't imagine what that poor bastard's been through. It's a miracle Grigor hasn't completely lost his mind. Granted, he's lost 1 or 2 pieces along the way, but there's still plenty that's worth listening to. Gravisius is the mailed and bloodied right hand of Dominus, and I thought the Templar were meant to be spiritual men of deepest humanity. You notice the sarcasm in my tone, right? Had to smuggle a fellow out of Theopolis once. Got a bit too friendly with Gravisius' wife, he did. Every blackguard was out on the streets looking for him, so I had to think lateral-like. We took to the drains and didn't put our heads above the pavement until we sniffed the sea. A grubby bloody job it was, but worth it for the coin he paid. You want a piece of Gravisius? Sometimes the only way up is down.
I'm no history scholar, but I know that Emperor Chittis was overthrown by Vol of Thebris in the so-called P.O.E. rebellion. But Vol had the shortest reign of any internal emperor. The cataclysm sort of that. Good luck to ya.
Hello. Wisdom of one's fate.
Blackguards will never stop pursuing someone they consider a traitor. I'm a danger to everyone around me and not long for this world if I can't find a place to hide. This seems like a good area to build a hideout, but it's filled with monsters. Can you clear it of everything dangerous? Farewell. Curious. With the death of the last monster here, the very air itself feels different. I wouldn't use the word purified, but you've definitely negated the pile over this place. I'll stay here for now and make sure nothing dangerous re-emerges. Greetings.
The Beatles poet could hide the spoils from Chitters, but not from us, eh? I knew you was the exile for the job. I'm sure you've been more than compensated already from Victario's stockpiles, but here's a little extra. Care of something I found under a dead man's bed. Why? Just because I like you.
Don't do anything I would.
I write this now in hope that someone will remain. Someone may remember. The sun is an orb of blood. Twisted twilight shrouds my eyes. The air reeks of anguish. San has plunged into nightmare. The man who served me coffee now writhes on the floor. He rants of visions he alone can see, as writhing red tentacles grow from his face, as if his eyes had been seeds waiting to sprout. He is quiet now, my waiter. No more cackling and screaming. Dead. Of my fellow patrons, only 2 live. The others have fallen. Their blood is everywhere. The survivors, gemlings both, their skin shrivels and grays to the hue of necrosis. Their gems flare with unholy luster, their eyes black as hatred. A gemling ghoul, it twisted off a corpse's head, gnaws at skull-like dog. My head now, visions clawing at me. Thinking burns. I see horror. Envy the mute corpses at my feet. Words flay me, flee me. All is madness.
I shall wipe the filth from this house of God. Will prevail. Something eternal remains in this empire. The question is, how? this land, delivered to this task, I will prevail.
And slippery flesh, clinging feet and tongue. No matter the color before, now the earth is green.
Pretty as porcelain, but her mouth spins like the potter's wheel. That's how I once described Diala. Yet on this day, my lady is as ravishing as a nightmare, radiant as the fullest moon. Diala is my gemling queen, and we shall rule side by side over the world that will soon come to be.
You are not a cockroach. Strange. Inundated with cockroaches I am. Black ones, forelimbs, nasty, spiky things. Are you spiky? If so, my ribbons will pluck your spines. Malachi liked spines. Liked my spine. Pretty spine. Bejeweled and bountiful. Enough to make an empire weep. Do you weep, not a cockroach? I do. Tears are infinite. Why, on this very day I found a new reason to cry. The ribbons are order. Clean and polished. Serve and protect. When those cockroaches crawled in, swarmed through the cracks, the ribbon's spool is taken. Stolen. The black ones want them, my ribbons. Want to wrap the city in black ribbons. Find the spool, not a cockroach. Look to my doorstep, where the ribbons crush cockroaches yet. Bring the spool, and I will find gratitude for you.
You may go.
I awoke. Feverish and barely conscious, I set to drawing these maps through the sable hours. By morning, my fingers ached, my eyes burned, yet still I found no rest. The reverie commanded its rendering. The reverie device now stands completed. I've placed the first of my maps within its receptacle. I've taken my maiden voyage into nightmare. I know now that which sent me this precious gift. It knows me, expects my return. It would be foolish to disappoint. Malachi.
We may just discover the truth of this world.
Tear down the walls that imprison the mind. That is what the gems do. That is their true virtue. The moment my fingertips brushed the cool, silken plains of that first gem, I felt it. My skull ached as if its contents were growing, pressing against the bone, searching for a way to break free. That night, once the wine had dulled the pain enough to allow the onset of sleep, the dreams began. I have not been without them since, nor would I be. Every spark of thaumaturgy that I wield, every device that I forge, every creature that I transfigure, I owe to these lessons cloaked in nightmare. From whence do these precepts hail? Certainly not the mundane grey between my ears. I possess only one reference that bears faith. Translated with unquestionable clarity by that idiot savant, Isius Pirandus, the beast. Duliani of the vow knew the truth. Soon now, so shall I. Malachi. There's a familiar face. Before you say anything, yes, I did try to kill you. Inexcusable. I allowed pragmatism to overcome honor in a moment of desperation. Please accept my deepest apologies. And what do you say? Can the two of us make a fresh start? Marvelous! Now, as you've clearly noticed, the All-Flame has given me another respite from oblivion. Alas, it's a partial success only. I am neither man nor spirit, living nor dead. A state that comes with some rather frustrating restrictions. I know we've only just been reacquainted, but to put no finer point on it, I need your help. Interested, are we? Oh, splendid! In return, I have a gift or two that I may bestow upon you with a click of my translucent fingers. All you need do is furnish me with a crystal decanter and a juicy piece of fruit. Two humble items that remain agonizingly out of reach for a man in my peculiar situation. Will you look at that? The decanter spiritus. As exquisite today as when I found it all those years ago. You may fault the man, but you can't fault his craftsmanship. I'm sure you've heard of Malachi by now. Ever the heterodox, he sought otherworldly inspiration by imbibing a substance called ghost wine. For the purpose, he created the decanter spiritus. I found it on my last visit here. Liquid placed in this crystal decanter becomes quasi-apparitional in nature. I'm sure you can glean the decanter's usefulness to me. Conventional liquids simply don't hit the spot. I am one sorely parched revenant. I hid the decanter spiritus in the marketplace so as not to cause temptation for the less morally steadfast in my crew. Look to the carven heraldry there and find a lion dancing upon the waves. Emperor Chittus was stabbed in the posterior by his own Lord Mayor on the eve of the Purity Rebellion. Chittus's grieving gemlings buried him in the imperial gardens, and a plum tree was planted upon his resting place, so that his mourners might taste of his glory for years to come. I found that tree, and one of my men tasted its fruit. I've never seen so much agony crammed into such a brief moment. This may seem a peculiar request, but please bring me one of Chittus's plums. This current form comes with rather frustrating restrictions. It's a small improvement on my last incarnation, but I'm a man who used to poke his sticky beak into the furthest corners of the world. Now I can barely cross the road. It was no mean feat getting here from Siren's Cove, I can tell you. So here's the truth of it. I intend to sup upon mine own death. Oh, fear not. The All-Flame will resurrect me, and with luck, will restore my full freedom. But for that to happen, I must die. And in such a manner as to excite the All-Flame to utmost ferocity. I am convinced that only the fruit of Chittus can provide a demise of sufficient tragedy. Life is full of painful choices, is it not? I visited Sarn some 30-odd years ago. Those ghasts, the Undying, you call them, scurried up from the sewers near the river and slaughtered all but a few of my most stalwart lads. Oh, they're a foul parody of humanity, those undying. Nothing in common with a fine, upstanding revenant like myself.